actually stopped at color theory, just talking about color terminology and all that. So I'll do a quick recap of what we did yesterday. So if you have any question, you ask. So maybe, okay, what's the time now? This is 4:08. Maybe let me say 4:15 or so. That's if I'm not done by then. So yesterday we went over what design is in general, and the illustration I gave was design is like music, different layers or different sounds working together to form a single harmony or pass a single message. I used the idea of a choir having the tenors, the bass, the tenor, alto, whatever. Then you have the sopranos all singing together to actually produce a harmonious sound that works together very well. So we still went, after that, we went into the psychology and principles of design. Okay, before then, we talked about the components of design. These components of design could be divided into 4 main parts. First is the layout and composition. Yeah, the second one is understanding of typography. You have your high resolution images and assets. Then you have your color and contrast. Those are the 4 components that make up any design. If you look at any design, put your banners that you see, logos and all that, it makes use of all these things to actually give off an idea or a vibe, like I said yesterday. So this was an example that we gave where design principle was used. So for instance, now, if you were to read this, the format that you read it in is harvest will come after the rain, keep sowing, keep at it. That's how you read everything. No other way, unless maybe something is wrong with you. Okay, that is you, but yeah. So in that particular, that's how you read it. And basically, what a graphic designer is not just that random guy that makes banners or logos for you for your visual aesthetics. The graphic designer is a lot of things. It comes with a lot of responsibility. You're not just an artist. You're someone that can actually communicate with a particular client or a particular person and extract the idea he or she wants for his audience to get by whatever design he has. So, for instance, now, a designer, okay, how should I put it now? Like the main aim of you being a graphic designer is for you to deliver information in the best way possible that your client wants to his audience. And not just designing because you want this thing to be fine. You're always communicating something in your design, no matter what. That comes with your logos, your adverts, and all that. Okay, let me give an example. Say Mobile. Mobile logo is quite simple, but one thing people don't know is that O there that they made red, as well as the choice of colors and all that. That O that is there that's quite different, kind of helps people that don't actually know how to pronounce it or something. Just some sort of strategy by the graphic designer to emphasize on that O there, so you could actually pronounce mobile very well. It all comes with a whole lot of things. You might look at it and you should more or less learn it's a skill that you have to develop over the long run. How to see your designs as grids and layouts and kind of them passing a message, not just something that is fine. But it take a lot of work, but hopefully if you put in the work, you'll go far. So here we have the principles of design we talked about yesterday. First is unity or harmony. And these are other ways it can actually be enforced in a design. How they can come in a design. So you have your unity and harmony, you have balance, you have hierarchy, you have scale and proportion, you have dominance and emphasis, you have similarity and contrast. So the difference between emphasis or dominance and contrast is that contrast, the way they say the contrast, it's more or less an opposite in many kind of things. If you are trying to use it in a design, use for instance, you're on a black background and you want to write your text on it. For you to actually lay emphasis on that particular text, you could use white on it. Okay, let me use my Illustrator to give you guys illustration. I already closed it, sorry. So, okay, for instance, if you look at these circles now, they use the black circle for it. So to do this thing, so to actually draw attention using the principle of design here to that particular element, they use the white color of font for the text here. Then in the case of unity and harmony, this is how unity and harmony works. There's a pattern. This is proximity, a sense of distance between. Okay, well, yeah, it's CC 2020. As the illustrator I'm using. So proximity, sense of distance between elements. Then you have continuation, having an extended pattern. If you look at this now, these two, they have this uniformity that goes between them, both vertically and horizontally. The same thing as the next one here. So you have similarity. Now its ability to seem repeatable within other elements. Aside the fact that all the colors here are orange, you could notice that there's an alignment here. The spaces between here, the same thing as the spaces here. For this orange part, the space is here, the same thing as space here, the space here. You get, that's unity and harmony playing its part here. So we talk about balance, symmetry, asymmetry, and radial. Symmetry is some sort of mirror effect. What is on the left is something as the same as what's on the right. If I put an imaginary line here, what's on the left is something as what's on the right. Then for asymmetry, the number of elements here is the same number of elements here, but the only thing that is distinctive is the form in this case. So this is where balance comes to play. Then radial balance. So you see just a circular arrangement. So you talk about hierarchy. Hierarchy, I used, so I said the Nigerian government, for instance. That's what I used as an example yesterday. No, not the Nigerian government. I used Innocent, going from the chairman himself, the board of directors, the administrative division, the workers. Then you have maybe the gateman and maybe people that come to sell stuff to the administrative office or something. So that's how it goes down from here. For this tree, this is how it just goes down. Let's assume that Innocent is here, his board of directors, the administration. So it keeps, if you notice, the form of this form keeps changing. You get, this gives you this sense of classification between all these different elements. Then we talk about nest. Nest is more or less branches. There's supposed to be a branch here though. It's supposed to be a branch here though. So they said, what? Who is talking? Sorry. Does anyone want to say something? Okay. So next, every single thing is kind of related to each other. So elements, the definition here is elements mapped onto each other's parents, children, and grandchildren. So here, talk about weights when it comes to hierarchy. I use the fonts, I use this place, I used here to actually do the classification. Just look at this particular and ignore this illustration here. So here you have the header, which is the principles of design. That's the header. It also tells you that whenever I see this thing across the design, you know that it's a headline. You can check it. It's sort of consistent, if you notice. The font weights, they are the same thing, almost the same thing while looking into here. Then you notice the body of the text. Yeah, I'm just using this for an illustration. I'm trying to explain this. I'm trying to explain hierarchy when it comes to weight. Right? Do you understand? Okay, no reply. So in this case,
They're just saying thank you yesterday. And I was confused.
okay. Just if you have any question, ask. Let me answer them before I go into today's class. But I'm trying to do a recap of what we did yesterday. So if you didn't make the class yesterday, you could actually follow up a little bit. Then if you have any other questions, you could hit me up privately or send a message on the group. I'll reply you as soon as possible. So that said, go back to my explanation. So when I'm talking about width, notice that these bold fonts, they use it for everything headers. Yeah, then the next fonts width that they used was, this is actually regular. So anytime you see this regular, it's either it's the heading, it's not the heading actually, like a subtext for it, for whatever contents that you have there. That's all about. Well, another tip, okay, I forgot to give them this tip when it comes to design. In design, you try as much as possible to have this sense of consistency around your design. If you have a whole lot of elements, you try as much as possible. Keep it consistent so your viewer is not confused about what to look at and why he or she should look at it. Yet, when you start designing, you understand better. But just keep that in mind. So when you start using it, you could actually understand. So they use the thin font type here. So this is like the footer. If you go through the design, it's consistent. It's repeating throughout the design. So next up, we have scale and proportion. So you could do, they use the bar charts to do this. Set elements of different sizes in relationship with each other. This particular part is self-explanatory. Then you have your ratios, maybe yeah, ratios part. During this, when I was talking about ratios, that's why I mentioned the golden ratio. I'll go into that in detail soon enough. So ratios, how maybe, okay, I don't know if, okay, I studied engineering, mechanical engineering, I'm a graduate of mechanical engineering. So there's this stuff that we call scaling. Like when you want to, they'll tell you that they'll give you a material or maybe a drawing of a machine component and say, okay, that you draw it with a ratio of this is to that. So if they give you like 1:1, you know that, okay, you are using this particular measurements as it is. But if they tell you like 1:100, normally you work in say millimeter or centimeters, case maybe. Okay, that 1:100, that's 1 centimeter is equal to 100 centimeter on your rule or whatever. So what you now do is anytime you see 1 centimeter, you multiply by 100 to get the full scale of whatever you're supposed to draw, and you should be that ratio. I know it might sound confusing, but I'll explain better when we are doing golden ratios. So yeah, it's about division. Say these create focal points that automatically give a sense of relationship. If you notice, every single thing that's happening here starts from this black rectangular vertical box. Assuming this box was here, give you this notion that that particular box is different from this. You get? So that's about, when you talk about dominance, I already explained that dominance makes use of it. Dominance works on its own. It doesn't actually, it's not like contrast where you do an opposite kind of thing. Okay, I'll explain better. So highlights, when you're talking about highlights in the case of dominance, you talk about form. If you notice, every single thing here are circles, but right here they use the block. So notice something. No matter how you remove your eyes and bring it back to this particular thing, this particular form that is different from every other thing is what your eye catches every time. It's very hard for it to be distracted. It's locked onto this thing, this place like a target, more or less an assassin or something. But that's why they then you talk about colors. They use colors here to show dominance when it comes to this arrangement. Then here they use the size. So up next is similarity slash contrast. That's why I was talking about the opposite in meaning. So the opposite of a straight line is maybe a zigzag line or a curvy line. So that's what happened here. Kind of like an opposite. If I tell you I should apply contrast to a particular particular design or something, and maybe it's a black background, what should come to your mind is, okay, I want to apply contrast as a principle here. that means whatever I'm putting should be white. That's where you make use of this thing here. They actually use gray here because you know already here and they are using a white canvas. So after that, we went to typography where we talked about serif fonts. Serif fonts have very sharp protruding curves, and normally they are used for printed formal documents. Get so our classic Times New Roman, and a lot of them. Anything you see that is just like this, a very sharp edge, you know, it's a serif font. Then the one without those sharp edges, there's no protruding sharp curves, no protruding curves at all. You know, it's sans serif. You could actually type it on Google, examples of sans serif. Can you hear me? I hope everyone is following. You could like send a message on the chat box so I know everybody is following. Either is following, so I can proceed. Okay.
Yeah, we are following.
Okay. So sans serif fonts, you have these. I gave them some examples. So I think it's in your own best interest. Just okay, you already know sans serif is no protruding curves. To check on Google, search for it, you see a whole lot of them because you have like more than 1 million fonts. And one problem designers have is you have thousands and thousands of fonts on their laptop, but they might just be using 1 or 2 of them. Don't worry, you guys will experience it soon enough. So you talk about slab serifs. The difference between slab serif and sans serif is this very sharp edge that they have. This one has something like a slab or rectangular edge, but that one has a sharp edge. So these are some. If you notice, yeah. Who is looking for me? So slab serif. This is how slab serif is on a normal day. So we go to your scripting fonts. I pointed out that scripting fonts, you could normally see them in wedding invitations. If you remember, you could see it in wedding invitations and all these feminine kind of logos. You could actually see them using scripting fonts. So those are the 4 major classifications of fonts, and depending on the message or what the function or the functionality you want to pass across, you use them differently. So those are the 4 major ones. Then you have other classifications which are not so popular because these other classifications are more or less combinations of this all these 4 above fonts. But they still kind of group them. It's not really, I won't say it's not important, but based on so that's for that classification. Then I talked a bit about leading, line length, kerning, tracking, and all that. So line length, okay, let's start with leading. Leading is the space between one line of text and the other line of text. So I used a text box yesterday to do the illustration. Let me do that again using this. I'm using Illustrator this time, so just in case you see stuff. So this is my text box. And finally, yesterday I was trying to get the lorem ipsum this thing stuff, but it wasn't working out for me. So let me use this font type, cotton. Let's increase this to like 24. Can you guys see this stuff? Or should I scale it up?
Yeah, scale it up.
Is it okay this way? Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Very well. Okay. Okay, so okay, no problem. So if you notice, this blue line is under here is one line of text. Here is another line of text. So for me to actually increase the leading lines in this case, okay, this is actually Illustrator. So forgive me, I wanted to use Illustrator and explain to you guys what golden ratio is, but later I'll still go back to Photoshop. Maybe by the end of the class, I'll do that and show you how it's used. Or maybe whenever you guys start using Photoshop or doing your Photoshop lessons, we'll go ahead with that. So where's this font skin? And Illustrator kind of reconfigured itself. Still installed it. Okay. So right now I'm going to show you guys an example of. So right here now, this is this is line of text I have. So if I want to increase, quick notice, all these symbols here, all these icons here for these different things, it's the same thing for Illustrator and Photoshop. So when you go, if you go to Photoshop, just look for where your character is by using this window panel. So once you get it, you come to this place. And yesterday I gave them a good. Can you guys hear me, or is it noisy here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so a good rule of thumb for you to get a very good leading when it comes to maybe a body of text, so it's readable no matter what. Because I know if you look at this now, it's somewhat very hard to read, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so good rule of thumb to actually use when you want to do very perfect spacing that is quite readable by anybody. Aside the fact that you choose your font size, what you do is do that font size 24. So I hope you guys are seeing what's happening here.
Yeah, we can see
This particular place is where it is leading. Anytime you see this type of icon or button or something, this is see what I said, set the leading. So for me to get very good spacing, I do 24 multiplied by 1.5. That's a simple rule of thumb. If you are working with your body of context, or maybe your body, use 1.5 multiplied by 1.5 magnification. Or if you are working with headers, you use 1.2. So if I make it 1.5, okay, let me do that again. Just highlighted 24 multiplied by 1.5. Between that one and the previous one, which one is more readable now?
This one.
Yeah. So that's what you actually do when it comes to spacing your text. So this is an example of where leading was, where you can use leading. Yes. So let's move on to the next definition. So here, this definition I gave, this is the space between baselines, the lines upon which letters sit. So you go over to your line length. Line length is distance occupied by text that is present between the right and left margins in one line. So for this, I would like to put this in center alignment. Okay, center align now. So okay, for the body of text is normally 1.5. Then if you want to do the ones for headers, you could use 1.2. But you could break these rules depending on how visually pleasing it is. But normally 1.5 is best for your body of text. And I don't know, could you change this message you are sending me privately so everyone could see it? When you're talking about your line length, for instance, sorry about that. So when you're talking about your line length, so when you're talking about your line length, it's here, distance from this place to this place, for instance now. So let's check something. You guys can see this bounding box I put, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at that definition again. They said this is the distance occupied by text and that is present between the right and left margin in one line. So you have this as your text box. This now I'm moving right now. This is your text box. So the line length is from this part of this text box, the left side to the right side, that entire left to right margin where the text occupies, that's your line length. That's just basically it's no long grammar. So kerning is the white space. Okay, I say our meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay, the meeting might just end in 10 minutes, so everyone should just be on standby to join again, but I'll continue. So kerning is the space, the white space between individual words, or not individual characters of a particular word. Okay, let me explain that. So I'll delete this. So I'm going to make this to write Graphixx. Let's change this to this. Okay, so by default, this is the white space that this particular font has, and this is where your kerning is. This is your kerning. So it sets a tracking for the selected characters. So here, if these are the white spaces I have here, 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 here. So when you talk about kerning now, kerning actually helps you separate or extend this individual white spaces that you have, those micro white spaces in this case. So to do that, they have some, you see what's happening now? -100, there's more or less no white space, unless you have to zoom in and see the very small white space. But if I increase it, the white spaces keep increasing. It works on just the individual characters of that particular word. I hope you guys are familiar. This is the part where you do that, where they wrote VA. Just when you start designing, you understand better. But just look at this place now. For Illustrator, you find where your characters panel is, then look for where this VA is. Then they always give explanations for what each function does. So they said here, set the tracking for the selected character. So here, I could increase it in increments of 1, but they already have defaults here. They increase it in steps of 5, then 10, then 15, and so on and so forth. So this is like 200, and this is like 0. This is the default. So that's basically that. Then you have your tracking. Tracking is more or less this left alignment, right alignment kind of thing. So you have your body of text right here. This is nasty. Cut down regular. Okay, let's use book. Okay, so you have this your body of text. So on the normal, this is your text right here. Your text right here is left aligned. This is more or less all these then paragraph key. So this is your center align, this is your left align. So you could actually, I noticed something there. There's white spaces at the end for all these left alignments and right alignments. But you could actually do justify left aligned, and it spreads the entire text to the very edge of that bounding box. Hope you guys see it.
Yes.
Let's take this off. So what's happening? So what's happening here? But I could delete this. But I could set this to left aligned. Okay, it's left aligned. I notice white spaces here. So it's more or less the way you align stuff. Just understand it like that way. You don't necessarily need to know all this big grammar, but if you can understand what it actually does, you don't really think anyone will just wake up and start asking, or maybe you have an exam to write. That's when you might actually look into doing all this stuff. So I advised in yesterday's class that you all should go and read about X-sites, carpites, and all that. These are all technicalities that have to do with typography and the way they work and how they are created. Because in graphic designing, you have some people that specifically do typography. They create these fonts from scratch for people. So most of the time, they are the ones that normally have a better understanding of all these things to actually apply them. Yesterday we jumped into colors. So it was divided into color psychology, terminology, the color wheels, then best practice for using all these colors. Okay, so when you talk about colors, you have to have an understanding of what color psychology is, basically. So whenever you see red in a design, this is the emotion or vibe it gives off: anger, danger, warmth, passion. Then it can increase your heart rate and raise blood pressure. You can try this one. Just open a particular canvas, then choose the highest saturation and brightness for red. Then stare at it for like 5 minutes or less. You might start feeling a little bit
Right.
dizzy, yet. But that's what red does. It just emphasizes danger, passion. If you notice, all these Valentine's Day people, I read them they use. So that's basically where red can work as where they applied color psychology when it comes to choosing colors. So it's all about your yellow, which gives us the vibe of positivity, optimistic, and energetic. It's good for points of scale, messaging, and call to action. Positivity, I would have said MTN, but MTN don't do a strong thing. So, so you can't really bank on those guys. So going further, you have your blue. Blue signifies trustworthy, calm, peaceful, often used in banking. What comes to mind is blue. Yeah. So they say light blue can be relaxing, while dark blue can signify strength and reliability. So that's how blue works. You could check online. There are a whole lot of even shapes too. Different shapes have their different psychologies. Your circle shows some sort of togetherness and togetherness or so. Then I think block is strength or something. The same way colors have their psychology, shapes do too. So you could check that out for your personal studies. And yeah, you shouldn't just rely on whatever we are teaching you. You should go online, look for tutorials and all that. I posted some yesterday for you guys to go through. So it's not just about being in this program and listening to us. You have to put in the work, because if you don't put in the work, there's really no point. There's really no need why you started this whole journey in the first place. First place you get. So keep that in mind whenever you are doing anything you are doing in life. So pink, for instance, dusty pink can be sentimental, while vibrant pink symbolizes youthful energy. Can't really think of a logo right now that has pink in it. Or do you guys have any one that you can remember?
You know this feminine stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. So your white, simplicity, purity, considered neutral, conveys cleanliness and minimalism. And if you notice, throughout this document that we are going through, they used white, and it gave this sense. Yeah, they gave this sense of neutrality and very simplistic design to the whole canvas and stuff. So gray, neutral, moody, conservative, and formal, often used when formality and professionalism are key. So that's what gray does. Then you have your orange, bright, fun. You could go into this, a whole lot of colors and how they work. So that's on your own part to learn that. So your color wheel, okay, let me read it. So the color wheel, the history of this tool goes way back to the early 1700s, and is essential for artists and designers to know. Grasping the fundamental of color wheel will help you significantly in your color combo choices, especially if you're not well versed in the universe of color theory. So aside that your typography being a problem for a designer most of the time when you're designing, that's why designers just stick to one or two fonts they are comfortable with. Okay, Kenna, what do you want to ask? What's up?
Can we get these documents?
Yeah, you can't. This document was actually given to me for one course I did one time, so it's more or less a classified document. Sorry, but I will send you guys videos. I posted videos yesterday, and anyone you don't understand, I'll put you through them. That's what I said, just to make up for not giving you guys the material. So the color wheel, this is how the color wheel is on a normal day. You have your primaries, which is red, green, blue, RGB. Wait, what's our primary colors? Red, green,
Red, yellow, blue.
red, yellow, blue. Yes.
Mm.
I knew they are just clear. Now start mentioning for. I
White.
don't matter.
Green is not primary.
Who said white?
Green is not primary.
Yeah, green is not primary. Just remember. So your red, yellow, and blue. Those are your primary colors. Then you have your secondaries and all that. So a simple color wheel consists of 12 color hues. Your hues are what? This red, your yellow, your this, your that. Those are the hues, different colors you have. And note, your black and white are not hues. They are not hues. They are totally different. They are not hues.
Shades
So your
and
hues are
shades.
arranged. So your hues are arranged around the central hub. This is the hub. The color will consist of primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So 1, 2, 3 are your primary colors. Okay, explain it better here. So these are your primary colors: red, yellow, blue, and yellow. These are your primary colors. So these three are the base for all other creation for other colors. They are like the Adam and Eve of the color wheel, except there are three. So secondary colors. Secondary colors are a combination of mixing equal parts of any of the two primary colors, resulting in creation of secondary colors. So you combine this and this, you get this. You combine this, you combine yellow and blue, you get this. Notice in the color wheel, these are the should I say the pivots or something. That's the central point where all these colors meet. That's the secondary color. Yeah, this is first. This is one primary color. This is another primary color. You have 1, 2, 3. So this is one of them. So combination gives you this. Then you have your tertiary colors. Tertiary colors. This comes from mixing one primary color with one of the nearest secondary colors. So this is a primary color. So when you mix it with this one, this secondary color here, you get this. You have your yellow here. If you mix it with this secondary color, this is what you get. Hope everything is making sense.
Yes.
So next up, we go to terminologies when you're using color or terminologies that involve color. So here in general, color is used to refer to all well colors, including black and white and gray. While here, color is used to refer to all colors. Basically all colors, including white, black, and gray. But here refers to the origin of the color we see. The origin of color we see, that's where you talk about your primary colors and all that. So it's the base of the colors we see, and it's always one of the 6 primary colors and secondary colors on the color wheel. So there's no color here that you tell me that, okay, let's do this for instance now. If you combine this red now with lots of white, you won't exactly get should I say a secondary color or something. The white might just be overwhelming and turn it to white. You get? So
Yes.
more or less, your hues are just these primary colors. These primary colors and other colors that originate from them. Those are what hues are. Then tint is the lighter version of a given hue. And this happens when you add white to that particular color. I hope everyone is following so far. So if you have red, for instance, now, and you add white to it, it keeps fading away, fading away, fading away, fading away. Just by adding white continuously, till finally it turns to white. So whenever when you're talking about things, just what you should have in mind is that, okay, they added white to this particular thing. That's what tints basically mean. So it said a tint can range from a hue that is barely lighter than the original to almost white with a tiny amount of color in it. So shade is the opposite of tint. That's the one that they add black. So if you continue adding black to a particular hue, you start creating a shade of that particular color. So they said here it can, of course, including varying amounts of black, and resulting color will be barely black than the original hue, but it may be almost black. So next up, we talk about tone. So tone is similar to tint and shade, but only instead of being a hue with white or black added to it, is a hue with only gray added to it. So initially, you already said that black white and gray. They are not hues. So this is where they play part in colors. Your shade, blacks give you shades. Your whites give you tints. Your grays give you tones. If you as a photographer here, this you guys make use of tones a lot. You tell you I should shut up, edit a picture, say okay, let me work on the tone. Then when you are done working on the tone and the exposure, you start working on white balance and all that. Okay, let me not digress again. So here, colors can be divided after all their mixing and getting your different hues and all that. It can be classified under warm colors versus cool colors. So warm colors are those that resemble or symbolize heat, while cool colors are attributed to ice or cooler temperatures. So if you look at this, there's a clear difference between them. This gives one cool vibe and this gives one warm, hot vibe. Yeah. So yeah, they said yeah, they gave some examples, and this is it. So next up is color channels. So when you have all these Adobe softwares and almost all, if not all these things, softwares that you use on your PC, they work with color channels. So CMYK is a subtractive color channel. It sort of removes color. Then whenever you are printing, the printer kind of adds color to it, so it looks the way it should be when you print it. Don't know if that makes sense. But if you are designing anything with print, you set your software to design the thing in CMYK, or maybe when you are done and you're exporting, you don't use, okay, RGB is for screen, it's an additive color. But maybe when you guys go into your proper design, I'll do something. Normally you design in Photoshop with RGB, and when you're exporting it's RGB because maybe you just want your design to be seen on phones. But once you turn off that RGB, to look weird on your phone, to look the same as what it used to look like on your PC because of that color channel that you turned off. So CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, then key, which is your black. That's the intersection here. So here you have your RGB, and okay, nobody's doing videography. If not, I would have given, okay, let me use for instance now. When you are editing pictures, for instance, if you have too much red in your picture, if you add cyan, it sort of balances out red. Everyone is following, right?
Yes.
Then if you have too much green in your picture and you add magenta, it cancels out the green, sort of creating an equilibrium. Then if you have too much blue and you add yellow, it balances it out. This is K, you don't use it when you're balancing images. So that's why I do it. So RGB, they are additive, they have vibrant tones, they are used for monitors and displays, they use 3 channels, and they are smaller file size. But CMYK, they are subtractive, they have cool tones, they're only used to print media. Then they have four channels, that's because of this K. Then you have 4 channels, okay, they have 4 channels, then they are easy to color treat compared to RGBs. So hexadecimal color codes, these are ways in which colors are sort of done this thing, the way they are stored online or documented basically. So if you are using a
Identified.
software, identified, yeah. So they said these 6 digits is a combination of letters and numbers that represent an RGB color. The first value pair refers to red, the second to green, and the third to blue. So this is for red, this 2 is for red, this 2 for green, this is for blue. I remember, okay, and the combination of all these different things gives you a particular color in whatever hue or shade that you want it in. These different numbers or the combination of numbers here gives you a particular color code. So for instance, I said RGB is an additive color space, meaning that when all these 3 colors are put together, the result is white. So example, this is FFF. Let's copy it so you see. Let's use Illustrator to give you. So I'll change this to red just to give an illustration. This is red now. Hope everyone's following.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is where you have you put your hexadecimal color code. So you have 2 of these, your red, 2 of these, your blue, 2 of these, your green. See, talks to the software. So I copy this, then press Ctrl V, press OK, it's turned to white.
Mm.
You get. And
Yeah.
if okay, you can do that using alphabets or maybe in decimals. Okay, it said example FFF or in decimal 255, 255, whatever. So I could use this, or I could use this to put my hexadecimal color code. But most of the time, what you see online is a mixture of letters and numbers, which represent our hexadecimal color code. When you go online, use this website, colors.co. This helps you with choosing color patterns and all that. Colors.com. Hope you guys have taken it down.
.com or .co?
.co, sorry. .co.
Okay.
So this helps a lot with choosing colors and all that. So I do web design and I do UI UX design, product design. So make use of that to help me choose colors. So yeah, you could copy this 000 and put it here and we get black. So that's basically how all these color codes work. And with this, basically, you have this is just like a base for you to start designing. But you need to read and practice. Practice makes perfect when it comes to all these things. So this is the second material I have. Here they went into detail about font pairing and all the different ways you could pair characters, different font types together to strike a point. So here you could, if you notice, they just use a particular font weight here, but they mixed a thin font weight and a thicker font weight and gave that thing a different sort of vibe.
Mm.
So yeah, they applied, what type of design principle did they apply here?
Contrast, I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they did right there. So here they used the hierarchy and contrast to here. A bigger, based on size, they use a bigger one here, they use a smaller one, and also using weights. Although these two are not from the same family, but here they used size to actually give a difference. And notice this is what happens here. Because different ways to pair your fonts and all that. So you guys could use, maybe I'll send screenshots or maybe I'll look for a material and send those. If the best thing you could do is when you're starting out, and you're having a hard time choosing colors, just stick with a particular color. Then you should use different tints or different shades of it. And what did I say tint is?
Adding white to a particular color, maybe.
Then shade, adding black to a particular color. So your this thing, your color is not overwhelming, or you become so confused about what to do. You just choose a particular color, then use different tints or shades of it to still do these things, to give you the same vibe. And it's more or less, let's say the common part. So initially, when I was talking about design components, I talked about assets, high resolution assets. So
Please have a question.
Sometimes to add that, go ahead.
You said tint is adding white to a color, while a shade is adding black.
So it's adding white to a hue, not color. You know, color means general.
Okay, adding white to a hue. Okay.
Yes.
The adding, is it to increase, or how do you make it like the adding, is there a particular number, or assuming you are working with your hex code, how do you add white to a particular number, to a particular code already? How do you increase the white of it?
Okay,
Or how do you increase
I'm going to show you something. Most people don't work this way. You see this place, it's set to RGB, but what I normally do is I set it to HSB, which is what?
Okay.
Hue, saturation, brightness.
Okay.
Are you following?
Yes.
So let's say, let me increase my saturation to the highest, then my brightness to maybe here. You see what's happening to that hue?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now
It's
let
not
me
possible.
let me switch my hue to this now. The saturation is to the highest now, and this saturation, let me add white to it. Sort of what I'm trying to create a tint. So what's happening? It's completely white. Okay, on the flip side, let me add a shade to it. So what's happening?
Okay.
This is coming down from.
Okay.
That's how I don't do these RGB kind of thing. See how this is confusing. If you don't know, if you don't really know it, although I know it too, but it's best you guys want what they call it, this stuff, Photoshop. The only difference, and yeah, the difference between Photoshop, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, the difference between Photoshop and Illustrator is that Photoshop is strictly for rasterized images. That's all the sort of images that pixelate when you zoom into them.
Okay.
I will give an illustration, but this is for Illustrator. Illustrator, I make use of vector components. And vector components are such that if you like, zoom it from today to tomorrow, it's not pixelate. So what's happening?
Okay.
This is like, this is this thing here. This is the magnification I'm using now, 25,500, and it's still this neat. If I try to do this in Photoshop, you start seeing pixels everywhere. But that's by the way. Okay. And a quick shortcut if you want to fit everything to your screen when you're using all these applications, press Control O, your canvas fits everywhere. So let me give you an example of that same stuff now. So okay, this is my canvas. And I don't know, did I mention anything about it, like a quick tip about when you are designing, you make sure you align something to something.
Yeah.
Did I
You
make
said
mention
this
of it?
yesterday.
Okay, yeah. For those that you are not around yesterday, whenever a good rule of thumb, whenever you are designing, make sure that whatever you are designing has an alignment to another element of that particular design. So it's not all over the place. So let me use 1080 by 1080, just a square. This is what Instagram normally uses. So let's use, I just want to give a simple illustration. So okay, let me just create something simple. So let's say design. Normally when I'm working, I make use of my rulers. So there's some sort of alignment you get.
Okay.
So you cannot actually use your eyes to this thing, keep track of where the text is. So make use of rulers.
What font is this, please? What font family
I'm going to rush this one. So design is here. Then what I normally do is I start off with white there, with black and white. You say come on, what's happening? So normally I start off with black. This is sans serif. Notice no edges, but the font type is cut down. It's free online, so you could actually use sometime. Maybe when I'm doing my web design or no or something. Can't remember then source science. That's by the way. So let me make this 24. Say it's not for the weak. So my header is what's designed, then it's not for the faint of heart. If I get to the faint of it's here. Let's just leave it this way. Maybe you could repeat this text. Okay. So this is what I want to use. Then I told you guys about your this thing, your leading. So I can make it 24 multiplied by what? What do you normally use for your spacing for the body?
1.5.
1.5. Perfect spacing for me. I have this. So let me switch this to regular medium. Let me use medium. Medium is not fine. Let's keep a book. So next up I want to get maybe a base. Oh, not base, what they call it? A footer. Okay, let's call it designed by me. Which I can make just to create this sort of contrast. I can make it gotham thing. Then I can do 18. Can you hear me? Okay. So you see what's going on here. There's contrast between all these things here. You have this big one, you have this small one, then you have a smaller one again. So now if I want to apply emphasis to this now, or dominance, I could simply change this to make it be red. And whenever you look at this design, this is what you see first. So you get. So maybe I start off this way and okay, this is just Illustrator. Normally I use Illustrator. Yeah, sorry about that. Yo, Jones, can you give me authority? My network is weak.
No.
Like, give me permission so I can share my screen. Sorry, my network misbehaved now. Jones, what's up? Jones. Oh. Jones, what's up? Is he not aware? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Jones, make me the host so I can take over or something. I guess his network is misbehaving.
Okay.
Okay. So these are some logos I made. I'm not really done. I think it's not even the right one, safe. Coding ratio, this one. Okay. These are just random mockups I made. I'm not done with this thing. I'm not even going to use them. So I was trying to create a logo for someone. That's all the stuff. don't know, I can't remember where I was heading with this again. But yeah, okay, yeah, I was telling you guys that I just use this to make logos. So all these are vector logos. If you notice, if you continue zooming in, it doesn't lose any detail, just the same thing. So whenever you want to make your logos, make use of Illustrator. But if you want to work on maybe your flyers or whatever, use Photoshop. Never ever in your life use Photoshop to make a logo. It's hard for people to use it online. But basically, this is not really much.
Why?
But yeah, like I explained to you now. When you take it online and you try to reduce the size, it starts pixelating. If you try to scale it up, if you use Photoshop, if you try to scale it up, it starts pixelating. But if you are using Illustrator is a vector based. Yeah, Illustrator is vector based. So if you like scale it up, scale it down, it still remains that fine, sweet logo image that you have. I hope everyone is following.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I think basically that's it. Let me go through the assets part of this. So most of the time you don't rely entirely on just your typography, your layout and composition for your designs. You can actually add images to it. And your images, you could add vector-based images. Have any of you heard about freepik.com?
Yeah.
Like okay, yeah, this freepik.com. Let me go to the website. So freepik.com, that's where you get your vector-based resources and some PSD and Illustrator files. So this is a vector-based file, this is a vector-based file. And vector-based already explained to you, if you continue zooming in, to lose all this thing, the quality. And you also get free illustrations here. So people do illustrations then post on the website. So that get that there then. Your quality assets, normally if you want to get your quality images, you use pexels.com or on Splash.
Yeah, on Splash. I know on Splash.
Okay, you use Pexels. So I make use of both of them. So this is what Pexel looks like. You type in whatever you want here, then you get free images. But I could use on Splash just to add more volume to the information you're trying to pass across to your audience.
Okay.
Okay, this is what on Splash looks like. Does have lots and lots of images here. Okay, so then you could, okay, this is an example of some design. So if you look at this design here, there are no assets. It looks nice, it's not bad, you get, but taking a look at this now, between this and this, which would you pick? The second one, right?
Yeah.
Which of them they got this?
This is the first one. No design assets, no pictures or whatever. And this is the second one. There are 8 pictures. You would definitely choose this one. This drives and gives you more information about what's happening. You could say, okay, your well-being is our concern. But once you see the vibrant face of this woman with the message here, you've started selling your markets now.
Yeah.
I'm giving much emphasis to it. And that stuff I was talking about, aligning something to something. He didn't align this, the text here and the logo here to this text here. But guess what? You see this box here? He aligned it here.
Okay.
And if you check this, if you check all these elements here, yes, they have the center alignment and you have equal spacing in between them.
Okay.
This is where consistency comes to play throughout your design. So this is another one. You have this stuff. It looks nice, no problem. It's okay. But once you add pictures to it, See what happens. It adds more volume to it. Something as this one. Simple, very nice, so sweet. You add images, you add some vector illustration. See what's happening.
But I'm using it for this class.
See what's happening now. It gives you more volume. As that. This is some for this thing, product design, assets and all that. See what's happening, adding pictures, what it does. So the thing about design in general is you don't expect, it's not expected of you that you start designing for you to actually make the very best design immediately. It takes practice and you have to start from somewhere. Don't have this notion that this guy has, okay, I've been designing for more than 6 years now, still in SF3. So I didn't just wake up and knew how to design. I spent majority of my time watching YouTube videos and practicing every day. Like in almost every day, I spend like say at least 2 hours designing something or learning something new. So it depends on you actually. You don't expect that you just stay there and you've gone through all these classes and you have this base knowledge and maybe you could actually do something with it. You can do something with it though, no problem. But if you don't add to that knowledge that you have and put in extra work, you're just going to be basic. Trust me. There are millions of graphic designers out there. But what actually differentiates you from one person to another is the amount of work you put into whatever you're doing. And that's more or less and it applies to every single thing you are doing in life. If you don't put in the work and put in the necessary effort, forget it, you're not going anywhere. You just remain basic for life.